That is what you see in your Simulink as a box. That Skyhawk comes as a box. Now, what is inside this box is what we are going to see, or we will have to derive it. Then we'll be talking about something called as flying qualities. Shortly, again, I'll explain to you what this class is all about, introducing you to flying qualities. And then we will try to quantify it using some stability parameters. And what you have seen in your control system, second order systems will have two parameters, damping ratio and the natural frequency. For first order system, we will have only the time constant. Once you analyze the system, then you might find that it is not satisfying these flying qualities. So you design aircraft. Now this design is based on whatever you have learned in your control theory. And whatever you are doing for your autopilot is uh, one step more than what is required for design in this course. Okay. Or maybe third module will talk about autopilot. But initial stabilization, what you are trying to do with pitch attitude, is all control theory. Now you are telling, like Rajesh was asking me, why sir it's behaving? It is becoming unstable for the simple reason that something is moving towards the right half of the S-plane. And your intention is always to keep the closed loop holes in the left half of the S-plane. Okay. So three clear blocks by which we are going to understand this a bit complicated subject called flight dynamics and control. What really happens in other universities, uh, they just cover up to the second block. And then they say that the design part of it will be in advanced flight dynamics course. There is nothing advanced. Okay, it's all something you have already learned in control theory. We're just trying to apply that knowledge. Now we'll talk about flying and handling qualities. சொல்லுங்க கிளாஸ் இப்போ 11 o'clock. So basically it says how easy it is for the pilot to give some command and how well the aircraft responds. Now if I make a statement like that, it's quite subjective, okay? Vignesh will say, oh, my aircraft is flying very well. Whereas Sanjay will say, no, no, your aircraft is not flying that well. So it's subjective, left to the pilot. So they just want to bring some structure to this qualities. So they came out with something called as flying quality and handling quality. Again, other books, they just say flying and handling qualities, whereas M.V. Cook makes a clear distinction. So when you talk about flying qualities, it is task related. Handling qualities are response related. It might look something vague. Okay, task related is I want to fly safely from Coimbatore to Chennai and as comfortable as possible. Response related is if I give a deflection to the elevator, the aircraft should respond reasonably well. So that is short term. Okay, whenever I disturb the control surfaces or disturb the equilibrium, how the aircraft is working, flying, okay, responding rather. So that's called response related. The first one is called flying quality and the second one is handling quality. Probably this block diagram will make this concept clear. Flying qualities is mission oriented. Okay, I want to go and bomb so X and Y Z place. and I have to come back safely. That's a mission requirement. Whereas the pilot gives some input to the aircraft is going to respond, and he is going to get a feedback about how well it is responding, and that is called handling qualities. Okay, so that is now just out of curiosity, just asking, how will the pilot know how the aircraft is responding? Forget about the instruments.
Sir, we'll
What
have
sort of,
instruments
sorry?
in the car. We have instruments for that in the car.
Suppose he is not seeing the instruments. Uh, Imagine yourself as the pilot, and you are given some input to the aircraft, and the aircraft has responded. Now you want to make a judgment how well it is, how well the response was. So how do you make it as a human being?
Sir, by instinct.
Instinct. How does that instinct come about?
Sir,
There has to be
for
some
example,
sensory perception, right, to develop that
yes, sir,
instinct.
yes.
So what is those?
Sir, sir, we feel some sort of inertial force. For
Good, good.
example,
Some
if we are,
acceleration, right?
yes,
Whenever
sir, yes,
the aircraft is about to land in an airport, forget about the pilot also. During the landing phase, you feel that you are sinking, right? Which is
yes, sir,
nothing
yes,
but a downward acceleration. Uh, Other than
yes,
that, it's a visual cue. Okay, you just look out of the cockpit. You know whether the aircraft is pitched up or down, or rolling left or right. So he uses both visual cues and acceleration information to make a judgment whether the aircraft is responding properly or not. So that is called handling qualities. Now, if you feel that the response is not satisfactory, then you will have to stabilize the aircraft using some flight control system. And that is exactly what you are doing now in your avionics lab. You are trying to stabilize pitch attitude as an inner loop. Okay. So that comes under flight controls. When we talk about fly-by-wire aircraft, instead of the pilot inputs going directly to the aircraft, it goes through a flight control system, and then so it gets suitably modified and then gives and then it's given to the aircraft, and then the aircraft responds. Uh, this part, how it benefits the performance, probably during the course of the lecture, I'll try to explain. Okay. Again, it's all coming from your basic control theory. What is the benefit of introducing a flight control system in this part between pilot and aircraft? A typical application you can say is you don't want the G limit to be exceeded. During combat, you don't want the G limit to be exceeded. So that's one of the functions, it's not the only thing. Then another thing which you will feel very odd to accept is even a trainer, turboprop trainer, can be made to fly like a Sukhoi. Okay, of course, it can't go to Mach 2 and all, but it can give a feel of a Sukhoi to the pilot if you have a suitable flight control system in between. Basically, it is the command which gets modified. So we'll see about this uh, in due course of time. So that's the basic difference between a fly-by-wire aircraft and a conventional aircraft. Apart from the trivial answer being it's all controlled using wires and electric motors instead of pulleys and mechanical linkages. Actually, what really happens is this additional block of flight control system which comes in. And that's something which you will find even in present generation automobiles. you press the accelerator pedal, uh, what input goes to the carburetor is not direct. Okay, it goes to the computer which is fitted in the uh, automobile. Okay, so it goes in the and that computer decides depending on different conditions what sort of command should go to the engine. Like, I don't know, some of you must have driven cars which are having eco mode, sport mode, city mode, and all. No? So, you just with the flick of a switch, you will find that the response of the car changes. Anyone has driven a car with such modes?
So we don't have money to buy such cars with such modes.
They are all very even you even normal cars, no hatchbacks nowadays they have these modes. At least I know that all Tata cars are having those modes. So it's a small computer which is kept below the driver's seat. Okay, so then you will not believe. Okay? And they are not costly. And what's more interesting is most of these things are done in Coimbatore only. This sort of what you it's a basically an embedded system which is developed in Coimbatore for most of these cars. So it's not for costly cars. Now, uh, very general terms, we have defined this flying and handling qualities. And the person who actually tried to quantify it or try to put it in some sort of a format was this Cooper Harper. Okay. He was a test pilot and he flew thousands and thousands of sorties before he came to the conclusion that this is how the scale should be. Though this was done in 1969, even till date, this scale is being used for any prototype development of aircrafts. So it's a scale between 1 to 10. 1 means the response is excellent, and 10 indicates that it's having major deficiencies. So whenever you talk to a test pilot, he will always keep talking in terms of this Cooper and Harper handling qualities. So it's like where else you come across such scales? Sugandhan, wind speed. How do you measure wind speed? How do you quantify wind speed? What scale? Anyone in the class? Like you just look outside the window and you are supposed to tell what is the wind speed. How do you do it? You have something called as Beaufort scale, right? Earthquakes, you have
Yes, sir.
scales. So, likewise, this Cooper Harper has come out with this scale about the handling qualities of aircraft, and it ranges from 1 to 10. After that, the Americans also tried to slightly combine these things. They found 10 different scales to be slightly difficult to manage. So they said, okay, let's club the first 3 scales to level 1. And then some overlap here and then level 2 and 3. So now it is restricted to level 1, 2 and 3. But practically when you talk to them, they talk in terms of 1 to 10. So it's just sort of a standard, okay, which has come up in the aviation industry. Incidentally, I was just reading something on structures yesterday. Uh, we have Indian standards, huh? ISI, colloquially known as ISI. Can anyone tell me what is IS-1 for? Nothing to do with flight dynamics, okay? Just I thought I came across this information yesterday. I never knew about it all these days. It's open to the class. IS1, what does it stand for? What does it recommend? So every country's standard starts with some number, and we have this IS1 for India. So what can it be? Sanjay, what's your guess?
Sir, IS1. What's it?
No, even I didn't
Does it
know.
something to do with defense?
Defense? No.
Yes.
It's actually the standard for our national flag.
Oh,
Okay. So what should be the length to width ratio and all the three colors at what proportion they should be and all those things. So IS1, just for information, is about the Indian flag. Okay. Coming back to our Cooper
sir, what
Harper.
is the
So,
standard
yeah,
for, sir?
sir. Sorry,
What are the standards for, like, uh,
which standards?
this IAS like Indian standards for?
No, you like I was reading something on 485. That is for concrete structures.
Okay, okay,
So similarly, for everything, you have a standard.
okay, okay.
You guys have done AST, this thing, no? Structures courses. So,
Yes.
what standard do you follow?
Sir, in case of materials, we followed ASTM, sir.
What is ASTM?
Sir, American
Full form?
Society, uh,
Society?
and
For
last one the
testing
material.
materials.
Sorry?
American Society for
American
Testing
Society
Materials.
of Testing Materials. Okay. So that's an
Test.
American standard. What is the equivalent Indian standard? So you'll always say ASTM. I don't know whether there is an Indian standard or not. Definitely there is some agency which is standardizing things for aircrafts. Similar. They are supposed to come out with standards, equivalent standards. Maybe it's just a copy paste, cut and paste of the American standards, but still there has to be something equivalent Indian standards also. That's my gut feeling. So one is level, that's the response related thing. Then you have something called as flight phase. Flight phase is at what uh, part of the flying envelope the aircraft is. Yeah, is it some combat ground attack? You need not mug up all this. No? Just remember that there is three flight phases, A, B, and C. Like B is climb, C is takeoff and landing. Okay. So likewise, there is A, B, and C phase of the flight. First is level, then you have A, B, C phases. Further, they also classified the aircrafts as class 1 to class 4. So class 1 is small light aeroplanes and like your Skyhawk or Cessna. Uh, class 3 will be large, heavy, low to medium angle. This might be your 747. Okay. So in between you have all this class 2 and class 4 can be your F104. Okay. So depending on the aircraft, they classified it. Okay. Now, so why it is required, I'll let you know later. Why this classification and all. Sure. Okay. Now, during the avionics class, I told you that aircrafts have 6 degrees of freedom, uh, ideally, uh, and corresponding to that, there are 6 partial differential equations. That's the final block, mathematical model. And within that, I told you we can always have 3 for longitudinal and 3 equations for lateral directional. Now, this longitudinal equations will result in 2 modes called as short period and fugue. So this is basically represented as a fourth order system. Now this fourth order system will have 2 second order systems. One for short period, the other one for fugue. In case of lateral, again it's a fourth order system. But in this case, you will have one first order system for roll. These are all modes. We'll understand what these things are. Another first order system for spiral, and we'll have a second order system for something called as Dutch roll. So all you have to remember is that it's going to have 2 longitudinal modes and 3 lateral directional modes. And these modes are of this nature. The short period and fugue, they can be simplified as a second order system. You can even segregate this into 2 and assume that I'm looking at only one of them. So the transfer function becomes a very simple second order system. Similarly, in case of lateral directional, you can independently study the modes. So either you can have a simple first order system transfer function or a second order transfer function in case of Dutch roll. So when you look at the book, you must be finding some fourth order system. The denominator, if you see, it will be S power 4. So that indicates that, and since you are looking at theta, you are looking at the longitudinal transfer function. Now, again, don't worry about all this. You know by heart all these things. Okay? Now, look at the table. Instead of having a subjective statement that aircraft is behaving well or not, I would like to give some numbers. And that number is nothing but my damping ratio in case of short period. So don't worry about this because it's over damped. Just look at this line. Flight phase, level 1, level 2, level 3. Category A, B, and C. I think it is increasing in this particular column when you go down. And similarly, why is it decreasing as you go to your right? Anyone from the class? Just make an attempt, okay? Just look at the table. These numbers are going up when you go down the particular column. And when you go towards your right, it is decreasing. And it's nothing but damping ratio, okay? Whatever you have seen in your control system.
Sir, the less damping ratios imply that it is taking, the damping is very less.
Very less, yes.
So maybe it takes more time to get it damped.
That's fine. You are talking like a politician. Now you tell me, looking at the table, why it is so. I given some.
Sir, maybe level 3 states that it is somewhat
Good. Level 1 is very good
dented.
response, which means you
Yes.
don't want the aircraft to oscillate. Level 3 is it's definitely a deterioration in the response. So that's why it is decreasing. And if you look at vertically when you go down, Cat C is takeoff and landing, okay, phase. Definitely you don't want the aircraft to start oscillating when you're landing or taking off. So naturally you require more damping. Is it clear to the class? So instead of vaguely telling that aircraft is response is good or bad, now we are putting some numbers to it. And these are internationally accepted standards. Fugoid, we'll find out later that it's a highly undamped system, almost undamped. Okay, that's why you will find that the damping is very low. So level 1 of fugoid is 0.04, but for short period, if you look at it, it is uh, even category wise, it's some 0.5. So almost 10 times. So short period, the name itself says that the period of oscillation is slow. Naturally, the damping has to be more. Okay, so that's why this sort of numbers. Roll subsidence, instead of, it's a first order system. Naturally, you will describe a first order system with the help of some time constant. So you will find time constants here. Spiral mode again is the first. Naturally, you require zeta and omega. That's why you will have this zeta d, okay, and omega d. There is some purpose for the zeta d, which we'll see later. So you find this as the level increases, the zeta value decreases. So here it is around 0.19. So when you go in this direction, it's decreasing. In fact, on to zero or level. So, okay, all I'm trying to say is, instead of making subjective statements, we are going to give some proper parameters to this flying and qualities. Okay. Anything you want to ask me?
Sir,
Feel
your voice broke.
yeah. These are all appreciate this difficult. Yeah. Yeah. Cutting off. Can you repeat it again? Sanjay, Ranathan was trying to ask something. I'm unable to hear him.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Sir, I was not sure whether it's from my side
Yeah,
or
tell
your
me.
side, sir. Your voice
Sir,
broke, sir.
your
That's what I
voice
wanted
was
to.
breaking in between.
I see. Okay. Fine. No, okay. What I want to ask the classes, do you have any doubts up to this stage? Okay, fine. I'll continue. Even at the end of the class, again, you can always ask me. Something is bugging you. Okay. So this Lanchester person, he did the same thing. he tried flying a lot of gliders, launching them from elevated platform, and the aircraft used to oscillate like this. Okay, so that's how he tried to get this number. So in this course, few things you'll have to flying and handling difficulties. Already I told you what it is. Level most of the time that's
The
longitudinal
voice is breaking,
direction,
sir.
and each is having longitudinal is having two modes, and late directional is having three. Already I introduced you to stability derivatives. So, my voice is breaking, is it?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Sir, when you said hello, it was clear,
No
sir.
problem.
But before that, it was not clear.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Now better.
Yes, sir.
So stability derivatives, already I told you something like x, u, and all those things, right? So it's nothing but dou x by dou u. So there are 36 of them. And these 36, I will not be deriving all 36, but important ones I will be deriving. There will be around 11 of them. And I will give it as a term project for your she is doing F1 not 747. So her group will be uh, trying to estimate these using some of the technique. Okay. Analytical derivation part I will do it, but how to estimate it finally, thing will be done by groups, and the groups remain same. Okay. Whatever is there for avionics and innovation lab. So it will be so that's sort of going to cover your module 1 and module 2. Okay. Am I running short of time or? Okay, again, some few general information. Static versus dynamic stability. Whenever there is time dependence, then you're talking about dynamic stability. Static stability, the important keyword is its tendency to converge to the initial equilibrium condition. Tendency to converge, that's the keyword. And dynamic stability is whenever there is time dependence. So I have two responses, A and B. Can someone tell me which one is both dynamically and statically stable and which one is not? And we'll say that this is the equilibrium condition. And some disturbance has been given and I want to reach this point. So 0 actually is my equilibrium condition. Before that something happened, and then I would like to come back here. So which is statically stable and dynamically stable out of these two responses?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So A has a tendency to come back finally to its equilibrium position, which is 0. Whereas B, it has a tendency to diverge, so statically unstable, And dynamic stability is a process by which it comes back to the equilibrium condition. So it's a time dependent thing. So you find that these oscillations are just damping out. Here also the damping is reducing. So dynamically it's stable, but statically unstable. So you guessed it right. So A is statically and dynamically stable, and B is statically unstable because it's diverging, whereas the oscillations are reducing, so it's dynamically stable. Other things are taken out from your control books only, like damped oscillations. You can see it's going down, divergent and undamped. Undamped is sustained oscillations. Okay, and if it's a first order system, uh, this particular thing is called subsidence. Okay, it just subsides with time. Okay, the symptoms of corona subsides after 5 days. Okay, that's subsidence. And divergence is going up. Neutral stability goes and settles down at the next position. Now, aircrafts in your flight mechanics course, you would have optimized it for performance. Okay, you always keep talking about performance for a large flight envelope. But the problem is, the moment you optimize it, the flying qualities is actually handling qualities. Okay, handling qualities are deficient. So that's what finally, when you design an aircraft, you end up at this stage. So you end up at this stage. Now you find that flying qualities are not okay. You try to augment the system by some means. Uh, so this augmentation is much better than again redesigning your aircraft. So now it becomes a multidisciplinary subject, both aero plus controls. And what you are trying to do in your inner loop is nothing but you're augmenting the system. You're trying to augment the stability of the system. Okay? Uh, so whatever you're doing in avionics lab, the inner loop is augmentation. So that's called stability augmentation. So we'll see all these things in detail. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll end with this. Don't want to give you too much of information today. Anything you want to ask me? Just 2 minutes. After that, my project students can stay, others can leave.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the last part, what you told about stability augmentation, why that consequence arise, sir?
Okay. If you want a really statically and dynamically stable aircraft, I'll just give one of the reasons. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You require a very large tail plane.
Very
But
large
the
tail.
moment you put a very large tail plane, you are increasing the drag unnecessarily, which means your performance is going to go down.
Yes.
So it's one of the reasons. Okay. Similarly, you have problems with neutral point and all this.
Sir, but when you say something is optimized, then obviously the handling part will become easier, no, sir?
It is optimized for performance only. That is the problem. The aerodynamist is worried only about the performance of the aircraft. He is not worried about the handling quality. And the basic problem starts with longitudinal. I told you two modes, phugoid and short period.
Yes, sir.
This phugoid mode, if you really look at the damping ratio, it's inversely proportional to L by D. So you will go for a very high L by D ratio, whereas the damping ratio will reduce. The moment you the damping ratio reduces to almost zero, the response goes for a 6.
Yes, sir. Sir, that means we are going to learn why this consequence arise.
We assume that you are designing aircraft which is unstable
Mm.
and how to overcome that problem. That's why all your avionics lab aircrafts are crashing down.
Yes, sir.
So on paper, your aero design aircrafts will work, but you can't fly them. Okay, fine. So we'll meet tomorrow. Others can leave, and my project students are not here.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sapta, who are there in your course, in your batch?
Sir, myself, Seshant and Srivasam, sir.
Who? Sheshant? Yeah, Sheshant.
And Srivasam, 42.
And Akshaya, how about your group?
So me, Priya and Sahana.
Where is Priya? She didn't come.
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Ah, you're there.
Yes, sir. I joined a little late for the start of the class, sir.
Okay. Okay. See, we have a very good opportunity for you 6 people. Smish, you can leave. Okay. Okay. What has happened is there is a UAV company in Noida, and many of your seniors are working over there. And that CEO of the company happens to be my one of my friends. Okay. Uh, Now they have offered 2 projects for you people. It is basically going to be an autopilot system for landing an aircraft UAV onto a carrier. What do you think is the problem, complication in this? Gut feeling?
Stability when you're landing.
Uh,
Probably it's in
no.
the sea.
See, and the carrier itself is moving, okay? It's a
Okay.
moving platform, aircraft carrier. Whereas, see, even a normal autopilot, by now you would have realized how difficult it is to design. Imagine something by which you have to land on a moving platform. So it's going to be all that more difficult. So our job is design an autopilot for a UAV which is capable of landing on an aircraft carrier. And they offered 6 months internship also for you. So you can, sure, you can run away from Amrita for 6 months. Okay. No compulsion, but if you want, you can do it. And subsequently, they have also offered jobs also, if you do well, perform well. Now you think about it. Is it okay for you people to go for this project or not? And let me know tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Priya. Huh?
Yes, sir.
But this is something you have to deliver. Okay, it's not like you just write some report and get away with it. A lot of things are at stake. You, first of all,
Okay,
you
sir.
get an opportunity to work on some real arrow job, and then when you're going for your masters also, it will really be helpful.
Sure, sir.
And I think they're paying reasonably well for the internship also, some 20,000 or something. I don't know what will be the rate 6 months from now, but this is what they indicated. And I told them during this pandemic, definitely my students cannot travel. So the first half will be online,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
and second half will be probably you'll have to go to the site, or they will be sending the hardware here, and we will have to work on the system, whatever to the extent to the possible.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So again, out of all six of you, it's not required that all six should go to for internship. If you feel no, I don't want internship, you can always opt out of the internship but continue with the project. That flexibility is there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
They're not forcing you people to go for internship.
Yes, sir.
It's totally up to you. You have to take, you have to consult your parents and all those things. All
Yes.
those issues. And we don't know how this pandemic is going to uh, be in next 6 months. So all those things, but all said and done, it might be a very good, interesting project to work on.
Okay, sir.
And I'll split the 6 students into 2 groups. Sapta will work on the longitudinal plane,
Okay,
and
sir.
Priya's group will work on lateral directional plane.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Uh, so each has its problems, okay, the typical problems. Uh, Initially, we'll be just designing autopilots for a traditional instrument landing system, ground-based instrument landing system. Then we'll upgrade it to carrier-based instrument landing system. That details
Okay.
they are not shared with me as of now, but we can always start with this autopilot. But the moment you finish your avionics lab, you will get sufficient hands-on experience, okay, of how to go
Oh,
about it. So think about it, and even now you're free to accept it or reject this. Okay.
yes.
So we'll meet tomorrow. Priya, probably you can just arrange a meeting after the classes.
Yes, sir.
I'll take your
Yes, sir.
opinion. Okay. And doubts
Okay.
any, I'll try to clarify. Okay. Then,
Okay,
thanks.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.